Welcome back to DS Trucks. In today's video, we're going to be changing the oil for the third time on our 2367 high output, and the oil that we're going to be using this time around is the Hot Shot Secrets 10W30 PAO full synthetic. Now, why am I going with this oil this time around? We're taking the viscosity back to 10W30. For the first oil change, we went to 540, and I noticed right away massive degradation in fuel economy going to the Motorcraft 540 from the Motorcraft 1030. Presumably, that is what was in the motor from the factory, was the Motorcraft 1030. So we're going back to 1030 in hopes to regain some of our MPG. Now, one of the big controversies is, being a 1030, does that mean that it's thicker at cold start compared to a 540? I don't believe so. I think it's still thinner. I'm not saying that it's impossible for a 540 to have a thinner viscosity at cold start, but I just haven't personally seen that. So here's a look at our this is an old jug of 5W40 from the Hot Shot Secrets PAO, and when you look at this stuff, it's still pretty thick compared to 1030. So you can visibly see that the 1030 is just a much thinner, significantly thinner product at cold. Unless we were talking, I mean, maybe once it's 0 degrees outside, the 540 is still thinner, but I think at the end of the day, when you compare it with a 40 with a 30, you're still going to be thicker with the 40 9 times out of 10, I think. That being said, I know it's a controversial thing, but because a lot of people say, well, it's a 5, so it must be thinner. I don't think that's the case when it's tied to a 40, but anyway, we can clearly see in our case right now that the 40 is just thicker. Now, the Hot Shot 40 probably would still give me the Hot Shot 5W40 would probably still give me the good fuel economy, and 40s do give you better protection because they're thicker oils. They're better at keeping that metal to metal contact between bearings and stuff from being an issue, and they tend to make the engine run a little bit quieter. I'm not sure though if being such a high level synthetic, the 1030 will just give you such a better level of protection that it wouldn't matter if you go 1030 or 540. But at the end of the day, maybe 540 is just a little bit better, but 1030 gives you a little bit better MPG. But maybe the MPG difference isn't huge between the two, because they're such high level synthetics. Now, also, I was told not to run this in the 6.7 because it's too good and it's too much money and all that. But in this last couple snowfalls, there was times where this truck ran for like 24/7, no BS. So I think I'm in a severe enough duty to run this, and sometimes, running with snow, plowing with the diesels, which probably not the most advisable thing to do with the diesels to plow snow, because the maintenance on these things gets real crazy when it comes to plowing. It's not like highway use where these things can get a lot of miles out of their usage. The snow plowing is more eating into the oil life monitor real quick. Like a good 2 weeks of snow, two busy weeks of snow will just eat up your oil life according to the monitor. So I ran through my oil life and had to go over it by a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and analyze this oil to see if there's any negative repercussions, because I just didn't have the ability to change the oil in the middle of a snowfall. So we'll analyze this oil, but let me go ahead and rip this oil out of here and get this oil changed. See you guys under the truck. All right, we've seen this 1,000 times, but here we are again, draining out our oil. Got 2 pans. I probably only need 1, but let's try not to make too much of a mess. I'm gonna position my stuff out of the way. Pan here, like so. 16mm socket. Is that the size? Yes, sir, it is. See how tight this is. Oh, not too bad. Whoever tightened this up did a good job. I mean, not overly torqued. Let's go ahead and see if we can't catch this oil. Just barely catching the drip, and there we go. Not too bad. I just got a little bit on the glove, not too much on my, well, nothing on my hoodie, and that's the goal. And then she drains. So as it drains, just cinch this on back. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all. Question is though, how tight is that oil filter? We'll find out, huh? That stream shortens. This pan looks like it can catch it all. This oil doesn't seem too bad though. I did have to add oil in the storm, which probably gave a little bit more life to this oil. I did add a quart right before. But I think just running the engine for so long got the oil real hot. This grit, very gritty and dirty by this filter. I don't know if I want any of that grit around loose grit when I loosen this. You clean that off a little bit with some compressed air before I take it off. Okay, now for the big controversy. Should you pre-fill your oil filter? Now, Ford Boss is going to say you don't have to, but he does say you can do it. He's not like opposed completely from you doing it. I think he would like to see you pre-fill this from this outer ring where the filtered side, the oil would be filtered. I've gone back and forth. I know that you can put this filter up onto a 6.7 and it will be fine if you just did that with nothing in it, but you know, a little bit more research and stuff has told me, or kind of led me to believe that it's a good idea to pre-fill the oil filter for the 6.7 because there's so many different passageways before the oil pressure is built up in the engine. And I got that from a channel called Dave's Automotive, I believe. He's got a real nice shop and stuff. He does a ton of work. So as far as filtering the oil, the new oil, I like that idea, but I don't have the attention span or the tool or whatever. I think Ford Boss is like working on a tool that you can filter the oil, the new oil. But for me, I just gotta pour it in there because I don't have that tool and I don't have the ability to wait for the oil to drain. So we can see that the oil the new oil is going into the unfiltered side, and let's just look at how that oil looks. This is the 1030. Oh, she getting full. This is a 1030. I bet it's close to the 540. I don't know. I feel it's thinner, but that's another controversy. Just because it's a 10 means that it needs to be thicker? I don't know. But we're going to pre-fill our filter as much as we can. And dang, look how much oil. Look how much oil is in this filter. Holy smokes. So yeah, that's a good amount of oil there to be pre-filling. Okay, that's full enough, you know. So according to like this guy Dave's Automotive, he's saying that the worst thing you can do is pump air through your system. A little more compared to just for a 6.7 pre-filling it, because apparently the 6.7 pumps a lot of air through the system. So a little bit on the ring. I've always put a little bit on the ring, but some guys say don't. I don't know. Maybe Ford says don't. So my biggest thing with pre-filling the oil filter, when it's pre-filled, it's a lot harder to handle. It's likely to fall out of your hand. I've dropped a pre-filled oil filter into the dirty oil. Not cool. If that's your only filter too. So it does make it a little bit harder to handle. If you're working on like machinery or something out in the middle of a dirty environment, it's probably better just to remove the filter and put the new one on real fast and minimize the time that the whole system is open and exposed to dirt that can get into the unfiltered side. That's why, you know, I did a little bit of air spray around the housing just as a OCD level of precaution. Definitely not something that's required, but something that I've done. But yeah, I'm pretty much ready to go ahead and put this on the truck. Anyway, see you guys back underneath. All right, new oil filter going on. Just like so. Just spin it on up in there. Now, like I was saying, it's much heavier being full of oil, and you've got to make sure you don't drop it, because it's easier to drop this thing by accident because it's full of oil. And if you do that, then it defeats the purpose of having a clean situation. So the new one goes on. Started the threads. It's no longer going to fall. And we tighten it up by hand. And that's the thing, the controversy. How tight do you make it? Well, it's slippery because it's got oil on it. So how tight can I get it? I'm going to get a rag and actually crank it by hand a little more. All right, rag on. Let's crank it again. Can't get another turn by hand. There we go. Okay, with the rag, that's pretty crank tight by hand. Now, could you do that final little turn with a wrench instead of by hand? Sure, but it's just personal preference at that point. We are gonna go ahead and reinstall our drain plug, even though it's still dripping. Look at that drip. What I did there off camera is I wanted to clean a little bit more of this oil out, so I poured like some leftover rotilla with the plug off, just to get a little bit more out of the pan where it's like sitting in a weird spot and it can't drain. There's always a little bit left over in this pan because this drain plug's not right on the bottom, so I did that, and that's why it's still pouring. This is gonna pour for a long time. This is like brand new rotilla oil. Pour like a not a half gallon, maybe a quarter gallon, just to get, you know, the leftover stuff that's just gonna mix with the new oil. Got some of that out. And this is how we're gonna tighten our drain plug. Like that. A little crank. And that's plenty tight right there. Won't be an issue taking it off next time. And I guess now we can spray our oil filter off while I'm under here. Everything buttoned up in this area. Okay. Everything buttoned up, tightened up. That's probably gonna get sprayed again, but let's go ahead and top off this oil. All right, let's go ahead and fill this oil up. It says it takes 15 quarts. It used to be 13 quarts, and I don't know if it will take 15 or if it'll take even more than that, maybe 16. So this is how much we put in our filter. That's a significant amount of oil, and we're gonna go ahead and put oil in the engine. We got our funnel ready. This funnel's gonna be a little bit slow, but what I need to do is trim it maybe for a bigger opening. Maybe I'll do that real fast. All right, maybe this big cutter can do something about that, because this is just slow. Too slow. Come in like this, lap that off. Maybe that'll help speed the process up of this oil getting into these engines. That much. Nice clean cut. Bigger opening. Jesus. Okay. Now, let's fill the engine. So this is how it looks. 1030. That's how the 1030 looks going in. A little bit more efficient of an oil for fuel economy. Definitely notice going to the 540 motorcraft, degradation in fuel economy. Today's day and age, that is important. But when this oil stops, look at the film. Look how it holds a film. How that film gets held. Not bad, good enough. 1030 is okay for the 6.7, but we're going to a real high-end oil too. So that turbo should sing a little better. Now I want to show you something real fast with the 540. There's just a little bit of 540 left in here. Look at how this stuff behaves compared to the 1030. When you see it come out, just a little bit, It takes time to come out because it's thicker. Look how look how that film is held compared to the 1030. It's like a honey. Now back to the 1030. As you look at it, is there anything left? It's coming. Residuals. Just a little thinner. Then it drips. See those drips where the 540 will just keep stringing. So even with the hot shots, the 1030 versus the 540, you can see a difference. So these are gallon jugs. We are at 1 jug and 3 drips from the 540. Keep in mind we're talking the oil filter too. So 4 quarts a jug. 1, 2, 3 gives me how many? Do the math, comment below. That will give me 12 after these 3. Now that I trimmed it, it can take it like that, and it couldn't take it before too much. So good thing I trimmed that oil filter, huh? Or that oil funnel. Film strength. Oh, she's dripping. Take it. Take it. Before that would just overflow, but now much better situation. Well, comment below, what do you guys think is better, the 540 or the 1030 as far as what we can see here? I think, yeah, the 540 for the extreme usage. Maybe I should use that one. I don't know. I mean, how good is this full synthetic as far as protection? I know a lot of guys say it's too much protection, but I'm going with the 1030 for the efficiency, and I'm going with the PAO for the protection and the full synthetic, the best of the best. But at the same time, I'm taking the viscosity and going with the efficient and the protection. So hopefully there's a good compromise there. Maybe I'll see some of the MPG come back. And honestly, too, at the end of the day, from all the analysis I've done, you could probably run the 1030 Motorcraft in all situations and be okay. Probably. So this gives me 1, 2, 3, which will give me 12 quarts. This one, a full one of this, the 4th, will give me a full 16 quarts, and I think it'll take that, but I'm not sure if it will take a full 16 quarts. So we're gonna do half of this. This, I got an extra gallon too. So we'll do half of this one to give us, let's see, 12. That'll give us 14 quarts. That's kind of half C's right there. Let's check it, see where we're at. Okay. On our stick, hard to see the stuff, wow. But we are not all the way full yet, and it's only gonna get sucked down. So hard to even read this. It smells different for sure though. That's the thing about this PAO oil. It smells to me kind of like it has some kind of shampoo in it. I like to talk to these guys to see if somehow this oil has some kind of cleaning agents in it or what. It smells kind of like their additives though, like their stiction eliminators and stuff that they have for the 6 liter, and it kind of smells like their FR3 additive. Now, instead of just running that FR3, I find that it works good, but that FR3 additive by itself, it works good, but it can change the viscosity of the oil. So I just rather have it all set up from them and not from just some additive, the friction reducer. So we're going with the FR3, the friction reducer, and the 1030 for maximum efficiency. All right, how we looking? We're in a good place on the stick to start her up, I think. After there's probably 2 quarts left in this jug, so I think maybe that's close to half a jug right there. I mean, it's not full to the rim either, so that's probably close to half a jug. And our cap. All right, we can start it up and then check it. All right, let's start it up and see how it sounds. Foot on the brake. She sounds the same, but pretty quiet, no typewriter ticking or anything like that. And that's kind of the pre-filling of everything helps with that, I think. The only time I really heard the typewriter ticking is when I went with a Rotella. But anyway, just a chance to run it, get everything primed up, shut it down, see if it takes the rest of that. I bet it will. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's sat for a few minutes. Let's go ahead and see how this looks. It's level. They're saying 15 quarts online. I feel the 20s took 15 quarts. Hopefully some of that sooty oil got mixed in so you can actually see it on the stick. A little bit. It's so hard to see, but look how low that is. We're in the operating range, but we're not that far into the operating range. So yeah, that oil got us in the operating range just a hair more room left in there for sure. All right, 16. So yeah, that's where we are with adding 16 quarts, and we are on our stick. We're okay. We're in the operating range, toward the top of the operating range, but we're not full. Maybe there's room for expansion and contraction. I don't think these 540s expand too much, but maybe the 1540 does, and that's why they have the capacity set the way they are, because the 1540 starts off so thick and it ends up so much thinner. Maybe it changes volume too. Whereas these oils, I don't think they have as much volume change like a 1540 would, because it starts off at such a different viscosity. This stuff kind of behaves, you know, like it does when it's hot as it does when it's cold, and it maybe doesn't need all that room for expansion. So with it being basically 16 quarts in here, there's some room for expansion, but not a whole lot. You might need to really watch it with different viscosities compared to running a 1030 or 540, which when I've checked oil with a 1030 or 540, it always seems like it's the same height, and it doesn't seem like it changes if it's cold or hot or anything. Like the volume doesn't change. Like you check it cold or check it hot, it's at the same level. So maybe that's the reason. They seem to leave room for expansion on these engines. So anyway, that's our oil change. Everything went pretty good, and we're gonna send it like that. I guess we could check it one more time for good measure. Should have just see here. Wipe that off. One more time for good time's sake. Yep, same spot. That's 16 quarts for you right there. That's where 16 quarts put us. So pre-filled our filter, no weird noises, no ticks, no nothing. That's pretty much it. All right, my name is Sean. This is DS Trucks. See you guys in the next video. Over and out.